#Real Race Talk. It's the Revved Up Sports Show talking local, regional, and national action. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Hello, friends. Welcome into another Monday. It is a Monday fun day, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. #Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, all of you guys looking forward to a fun program. Going to talk to our friend Gina Shield-Knowles coming up in just a little bit, get a recap from the Rattler since somebody couldn't get there. So we'll get all the recaps on all of that and kind of take it from that point. And it's actually, Bobby, it's one of those things to where I'm kind of glad that we don't have anybody. Well, I mean, I always love talking to guests. I'm kind of glad we don't have anybody because, man, we got a lot of tire shit to talk about tonight.
Yeah, or the lack thereof, right? Something like that.
Well, and doping. Oh my goodness! How about that?
Did you watch the whole Kenny Wallace thing? It was a long one. I watched bits and pieces of it, but
no, I watched another fellow that was kind of diving in there, and of course, it's we can give our thoughts. I mean, we can give our thoughts on that, but yeah, it's definitely a very interesting situation to where you look at based on what we just saw between the two incidents that we'll be talking about. It's like, man, kind of like night and day right there with with the tire problems that we're seeing here lately.
yeah, but it made for a really interesting race yesterday, I thought, for sure. When you actually have to be able to use your tires, set the pace, right? We didn't hear that in a long time. Set the pace where the tires don't burn out. Hadn't heard that phrase in a long time. We've heard set the pace because of the fact you needed to have fuel mileage. We hadn't had to set the pace so you don't burn off the tires in a long, long time.
And everybody's bitching just like usual. I mean, whatever. Can't please them all. 5 cars on the lead lap. This is horrible. Well, in the old days, there were 2. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Delilah checking in. Russell fired up and ready to go. He's ready to be a live guest. You never know what's going to happen with the show, man. Things just kind of happen and they happen real fast. But we are excited coming up in just a little bit. We'll probably do it after we talk to Gina. I think word got leaked out a little bit somehow there. I saw on the old Facebooks, but pretty cool day for us today that's coming up, and we'll kind of give some intel there on how all of that's supposed to work and all that cool stuff. But kind of one of those things where the little shit show turns another corner. So very excited about what's coming up. Probably do that right after 7 o'clock or sometime like that.
Yeah, it probably makes more sense to do it right then and there. So.
Yep. All right, Bobby. So you, so obviously, like I, and again, by the way, I got an email a while ago from the apparently this United Airlines situation that I was going through, and again, a lot of this was weather. I mean, I totally get that. I totally get that. It's my own fault. I logistically fucked up this week. I mean, it's my fault. I just whatever. I didn't get there, and it was one of those things to where it was like, Tracy came home because hell, I beat her home. You know, she had plans with her friends or whatever. And she gets home and I'm just kind of sitting there sulking. And she's like, "You look like a kid on Christmas that didn't get a gift." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm like fucking heartbroken over this." So it's like, geez Louise. It's all right though. It looks like they had a good time over at the Rattler and they got the shit in, most importantly.
That's the biggest thing is getting it all in. That was the biggest thing about the World of Outlaws. I mean, it was supposed to rain nonstop Friday night, supposed to rain all day Saturday, all night Saturday, and hell, it didn't hardly rain a drop at the racetrack. Rained a little bit on Thursday, loosened everything up ground wise, but I think as far as the racetrack went, it went fairly well both nights. Friday night was a hell of a show, and then Saturday night was slightly dusty, a little dustier than normal, but it was a pretty good show both nights there with the World of Outlaws there at Cotton Bowl.
And I got to tell you, Bobby, almost called you Wags. Jeez. I got to tell you, Bobby, it's one of those things to where I was thinking about this actually this morning when I woke up. It was like it always used to be where Cotton Bowl would be the victim of bad weather, and boy, they dodged a bullet because there was no way, in the words of Buford T. Justice, there is no way. From what I was looking at during the week. And I didn't want to be, you know, I know Marianne had been on the show with us. I mean, I didn't want to be the one to be like, y'all ain't gonna fucking race. You are not going to race because it looked horrible. But dude, I don't know how in the hell everything missed them. Everything missed them, and I'm glad that it did.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was great both nights. I think Friday night's crowd was a little bigger, despite the weather was bad both nights, or the forecast was bad both nights. But lots of good stuff. I had a good time there talking with H and Marianne both before the show and after the show. And got to see some of our friends. Pass out the last little bit of hats that I had. The before the new thing goes live, which before we break the news on that. But yeah, I thought it was a good show. It's funny. The way that the schedule works out is that Cotton Bowl and Texana run head to head pretty much almost all year. All year, I guess it's a deal that Owen has worked out where I guess that there's less chance of the Corpus cars coming or less chance of the Edna cars coming or something like that.
Yeah.
So Edna and Cotton Bowl run pretty heavily head to head for quite a few number of races in the season. So when I get a chance to show up at Cotton Bowl, everybody's like, "Oh man, what up? What you showing up at a dirt track for?" I'm like, "I'm just showing up at a different dirt track now."
It's like, where am I supposed to go? If I want to go to a racetrack in Texas, I mean, it sure as hell. Well, I mean, there are dates, and by the way, I think that folks probably saw the shift there, where that the next Houston date moved to May, so you're going to have a back-to-back. I posted on Speed Zone to where, okay, here's your opportunity, guys. Everybody that wants to get out there, number one, you're getting some extra time. Getting a little bit of extra time right there to be able to get your stuff together. And number two, on top of that, back to back, it's like people, I want to race all the time. I need more dates. I want to race twice a month. All right, there you go. I mean, you're getting your wish. So hopefully that's something that's going to work
Still
out.
wondering how that's going to shake out with that being the same night as Edna.
Well, yeah, well, yeah, there's lots of reasons that I wonder about that one. That's going to be quite a lot to happen right there. But it was just kind of one of those things where that date had to move, and it's one of those things to where dates are just pivotal, and kind of I really think that some of the struggle with the asphalt track in Houston is going to be that 105 does so well. I mean, they race all the time, and I mean that's gonna hurt some of your count. It's gonna hurt some of your fans, but it was I don't know. We'll just have to see how all that works out when you get it back to back.
Yeah, it definitely got another month or so to work it out to see how well it's going to shake out. But it's but the thing is, you don't have a lot of the Houston old asphalt racers running at 105.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You don't have that many 105 guys racing. So, or old H&P guys racing at 105. There's a few, salt and pepper throughout the classes over there, but not near as many as what you think for the lack of cars that showed up in Houston on that first race. So
yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how all of that works out. I mean, I think there's plenty right there, but now we're getting into the point where there's going to be massive amounts. I mean, we can look at the calendar coming up here later on as to what. So I was kind of looking earlier. I mean, you were just jammed this weekend. I mean, man, I mean, not only do you have, I know some people don't care, but you've got the NASCAR weekend coming up here in Austin, but you've got, I mean, just it's track after track on Friday and Saturday to where there's going to be so much racing to consume. I mean, it's a lot. And I think that's the hard part where tracks, get into trouble. You have to schedule on top of each other. I mean, there's no other way around it.
Well, you have to. I mean, there's only so many dates around. So, I mean, for what it is, I mean, the tracks try to work together the best they can, but I mean, there's only so many tracks and only so many dates. So at some point, the working together goes out the window, and you got to look out for number one. And that's what happens a lot of times with some of this stuff that happens with the scheduling. Everybody, the best of deals start out with the best intentions, but it doesn't always end up that way. So.
Well, I think that's what always happens right there when it comes down to the bottom line, and when it comes down to doing what's best for your place. I mean, that's what you're going to do, and I think some folks maybe get a black eye on that. I mean, but you really have to. I mean, because it's just so much. I mean, what goes into a race date? I mean, what goes into doing everything, like you say, man, it's a hell of a lot more than turning on the lights and cooking the burgers and all that shit, man. There is so much that happens right there that has to happen. And, when you miss one of those or where something goes awry right there, that's a lot of revenue that goes out the window. And I see a lot of folks that may argue with me and tell me differently, but there's not a lot of promoters that are just sitting here hitting grand slams, making tons and tons of money on a regular race night.
No, not at all. I mean, they're lucky to get a base hit every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's not something to where you know, there's these gobs of money that are going in the pocket and never to be heard from again. I mean, that's not what's happening. So it's extremely tough, and it's going to get tougher because I would think what's going to start factoring in right now is you look at all these different schedules, Bobby, at tracks around the state, and they've got those rain dates that are tentative rain dates that are factored in there. I think we've been very fortunate up to this point that we haven't had more weather, like for example this past weekend. I know the weekend before up north it was horrible, but I think we've been lucky. But when those rain dates start to happen, that's when you're going to have people on top of each other, and that's when it gets pretty rough.
No, I mean, but that's just the nature of the beast, right? I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, rain dates are rain dates. I mean, Mother Nature does what she wants to do, versus you having a say in what she does. So
Yeah.
it sucks. It's a shitty situation sometimes, but I mean, I think it opens up a little bit with Boyd not being live up there, not running in DFW. That kind of shakes up that Friday night market a little bit, to where everybody's on Saturday. But I mean, I think up north you're getting them. You're fighting for this. This almost as bad as it is down here, but the mileage is a little different. I mean, it's not a hop, skip, and a jump to Rocket, but yet you got Hunt County over there racing against Kennedale. You got Big O over there in Waxahachie racing against Kennedale sometimes. So they're starting to feel the struggles and the challenge is real up there in North Texas. And it's the same challenge we've been fighting down here for a hot minute.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point because really what happens down here is, I mean, everything is so spread out. I mean, I know up there, like you're just talking about, I mean, all the different places right there, it just seems easier to get around a little bit. But it's like when people ask me, where's your home track? I'm like, man, I don't, to me, a home track is, something that's 20 miles away or something like that. And I mean, I haven't had that for a very long time. And that's really where it sucks down here down south is there's not. I mean, for me, Cotton Bowl is the closest thing to me, and I would assume to you too.
Yeah, pretty close. Now, a little over an hour to Cotton Bowl is 2 hours to Edna.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people that and friends in North Carolina or wherever it may be. I mean, they're like 2 hours. There's like 4 tracks within 2 hours around, and that's that's not our fault, but that's just the reality of what we're dealing with over here.
And it's a sad reality, because, well, we've been having to do it for so long.
Yeah.
When you think about it, think about that video clip they showed from KRIS TV down in Corpus, talking about the history of CC Speedway.
Yeah.
Man, it hadn't been, it's only been recently, and I say recently, it's only been within the last 15 or 20 years that we lost all these asphalt tracks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like that's not a long time, but yet that's a long ass time. So
yeah,
it's a challenge to see how far away we've come to losing some racetracks, and the dirt tracks aren't far away, and there's only going to be a handful of them around here in a little while where you're going to have to drive 2 hours to get to your closest racetrack.
Yep, that's right. All right, let's go diving into the Revved Up hotline, doing it old school, doing it the phone system working this evening. Right here on Revved Up, monumental night for Revved Up. As mentioned, somebody on this program not able to get to the Rattler 250, but we went and got our correspondent that was at the Rattler 250, and we'll get some updates. Welcome back to Revved Up, to the Revved Up Sports Show. Been a while since we had her on the Texas show. It is our friend Gina Shile Knowles. How we doing, G?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
We're doing good. Where the hell are you? It's like all the time I look around and I'm like, shit, I'm waiting for you to post that you're in like Japan or something at some point.
Oh, heck no. That takes an airplane ride. That's really long. So that'll never happen.
Absolutely. So
I'm on the road to Pensacola.
Nice. Oh, that's right. Big one coming up. Big one coming up this weekend.
Big weekend, definitely.
Yep.
We have the ARCA race. I mean, you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday racing. Big weekend.
Yep. So, Gina, how was Bubba Pollard wins again? Wins number 3. He did it the way that he tends to do those things. Break it down for us. It looked like another exciting weekend there, and a hell of a job by everyone at South Alabama getting all that in.
Definitely, man. He can just deliver the mail, can't he? That's that guy. I was looking at him. He was signing some autographs and doing his thing, and he's trimmed up. He's ready. I think he reminded me of Rocky. I could hear Rocky that song playing in my head, Eye of the Tiger. When he was signing, he has a glow about him. I'm anxious to see him not only run this weekend. What is he doing? A triple, running 3 different classes, run this weekend. But when he runs for JR Motorsports, I'm excited for him.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, the short trash Jesus is like Rodney likes to call him. He's had a pretty good couple of months here. Although I think that as far as the Rattler goes, I mean, I think there was so much. Everything I saw on social media wasn't all that great because everybody, despite we've all been in those scenarios to where it's the hardest decision you ever have to make to cancel or postpone a race due to weather because you can't forecast the weather. We saw it this weekend at the World of Outlaws. We saw it this weekend over there in Op. And it was like, oh, you should have raced on Sunday, should have left the race on Sunday, didn't move it to Saturday. I can't go, yada, yada, yada. But I think all in all, I think with the rain there, it was funny when Ryan was doing the updates from the track. He's like, and we're still waiting on Friday night, and it's pouring behind him when they announced that it's going to rain. They had moved the race to Saturday. But I mean, I think all in all, though, I think all given the complete circumstances that they had, I think I'm like with Rodney there. I think Op and South Alabama Speedway did one hell of a job. What was your experience like over there when we're waiting on all the news and all of that?
When it's a threat of weather like that, any call you make last minute or have to change after the schedule's been out is hard. But the Saturday itself was such a beautiful day. And it was just so positive and upbeat that anything, because the day had to be changed, it wasn't felt. It was a great atmosphere. Social media, I think, just had that negative spin. You can't make everybody happy, but the racing was great. The pace of everything was fantastic. So I really think it was a win because let me tell you, I was there Sunday morning and it was not pretty from early morning till late in the evening. They had some bad stuff go through. I mean, what prevented you from coming there, Rodney, is what was going through there Sunday. So I think it was a great call. Unfortunately, that's what happens when plans change for racers or fans last minute. You don't have that extra day or whatever it may be, or it did, ruin some of their plans maybe. But look, they got the racing in, and it was great. Yeah. It really was.
Yeah, they did a really good job, and I mean, John and everyone there does an excellent job with everything that they do. Yeah. So, not just the Rattler, but let's talk about the Baby Rattler 125 presented by Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet. That's our partners there. Jake Finch has really hit on something here as he dives into that Ronnie Sanders car. The Ronnie Sanders car has never been, anything to shake a stick at, but my goodness, Jake Finch, first in the Baby Rattler, second in the Rattler, man. What a weekend for that young dude out of Florida.
But I know he was definitely, I saw him everywhere at the track. He was upbeat. He was into it. So definitely a lot of great racing. When you watch those guys race, it's just a different, they get into each other, but it's handled differently. I can't, every time I see them, it's impressive. I don't want to say gentlemen's racing because we all know that's SCCA, but they get aggressive and everything, but they use each other well to race, if that makes any sense. Yeah. When they get a little loose, they might, rub and whatever, but man, they keep it straight for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm always curious, when you guys go to the Rattlers, where do they keep the rattlesnakes at? Do they have them on display out there? Like, I mean, where the hell do they keep them?
Right in the front.
On display in the front, and in between the races, you can hear those dang rattlers constantly going off. It gives me the chills. I really prefer to not hear those things rattling.
Once you hear one live one in your backyard going after your dog, it's a sound that you'll never forget.
Well, yes.
Everybody's like, don't kill one. Release it safely. No, it was 6 foot long going after my dog. You're going to kill that damn thing.
Last year, Gina, they were like, I mean, I had some of the folks from Racing America were messaging me. They're like, hey, we need a shot with you with the snake. I'm like, fuck you. I am not doing that. There's no way. I mean, I'm not going near that thing. And they're like, well, it's not going to hurt you. I'm like, I don't care. I don't
I,
care.
I agree on that, but I love it that it's part of it, and it's kind of cool. They're fun to watch, but watching, Finch's face and then
Yeah.
Pollard's face is pretty funny.
Yeah. Hey, Gina, I am curious to ask you because it was one of the things that I was probably going to go stick a microphone in people's faces and ask this. Bobby and I were talking about with obviously with the Cup race yesterday and then the dirt race with Bobby Pierce and some of those guys that got in trouble with some tire stuff. Were there any apprehensive or extra measures that seemed to be going on when it came to tire treatments or anything this weekend there at South Alabama?
I did not catch wind of anything. I didn't hear of any complaints of anything. Didn't hear nothing about tires. If there was, I didn't catch wind of anything.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Nope. Actually, they were running American racers there, so I'm anxious to get to Pensacola, and we've got Hoosiers there, so we'll see.
Yep.
How things play out there. I'm excited about it.
That's right.
Yep.
I forgot that was an American racer race. That's right. So I mean, nobody cheats on asphalt with tires. Come on, y'all. I mean, nobody does that. Nobody does that anymore. Nobody dopes up tires. It never happens on pavement, dude.
Do it on dirt either.
Yeah.
Nope. We all know that. Every racer just follows the rules. That's why we have them.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
But no, Rodney, you missed a great weekend, a great day of racing. Yeah, the weather was horrible. I understand it. It was all over us Friday. Yeah. All over us Friday, but Saturday was it's like the clouds parted and the sun shined for the Dykes family and all the racers. It was fantastic.
I'm glad. I was sitting there. It was five delays, and then when everything finally got canceled,
right.
And then when I went to look to see how I could get there, and there's not anything right near there. I mean, I should have just driven. I should have just driven in the middle of the week. I just couldn't get away. But it was like there was no way to get there.
No.
About $900 would have gotten me there, and just not in the budget at this point. So, Gina.
Oh, I understand.
Tell folks what you're doing. I tell you, you've got some of the best gigs there are. And man, like I said, you're kind of all over the country right there, but you've found yourself a really good landing spot, it seems like.
Well, things change, and went to work for Rogers Dabbs. The sponsors came through and just kind of plugging along. I'm out there selling performance to all the racers. I go to the racetracks and sell performance. And the best thing that I love about Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet is they put their money where their mouth is. Mm-hmm. They sponsor things in racing. They want to use racing to market and promote and sell their product. And they sponsor events. They sponsor racers. I've bought so many sets of tires. I can't tell you. It's not with my money. It's with their money. And how I'm able to do that is by continually selling, General Motors performance parts. I go to shops. If a racer has a shop and, a repair shop, and they order any General Motor part, it doesn't have to be performance. Mm-hmm. Any General Motors OEM part, they could order from, call me up and do that. This is how I get money to spend on racers. This is how I buy sets of tires for guys. I love it because it helps when they sponsor big events and they sponsor, a racer here or there. The money still trickles down to where it needs to go, because that's what I do, and I make sure that happens. Because sometimes sponsors don't see things like we do, because we've been around the sport forever. So I love being a part of it in that way. And that's why I travel a lot. I go meet engine builders and go talk to them, because I'm selling performance, and I'm selling any General Motors part, any General Motors engine. You name it. If it's General Motors, I got it. You know how it goes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So I'm all over. And then as far as the tracks goes, I am working for Track Enterprises, Bob Sargent. I go to events. I'll be mainly based out of Nashville, working all of those races, and then all the Stars events as well, selling sponsorships, building sponsor programs, doing what needs to be done on race day. You go on race day and you do just about anything. So I enjoy that too. So it allows me to, bring the sponsors, plug the sponsors together in the sport that we all love
Yeah, no doubt.
and hate sometimes.
Yes. Don't forget that part.
We know how that goes.
Don't forget that part.
It's a love hate.
That's right.
And we all know, if you've been in this sport forever, if you love it, at some point, it's like those rattlesnakes. It'll bite you. You just gotta get back up and shake it off and learn your lesson and move forward. I know one thing: I won't be giving a blank check to anybody anymore.
Well, I was going to ask you for one, so damn.
No, I learned that lesson the hard way, but that's where I'm at. I'm working in racing, selling General Motors performance, General Motors parts. I'm around, and let me tell you, bringing them into Texas is something we really, really are working hard to do.
Yep.
And that happens when we start moving stuff.
That's right.
Moving the parts and stuff. And that's, we sponsored that Lone Star 600 with Brad and Jack. I'm excited, about looking forward to doing that this year. 105. That's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I'm anxious to get Texas rolling, get them out at HMP. I think that maybe Grant might come and race some. Maybe Flying Ryan can come race some.
Yeah.
We'll see. Once this racing season starts going, things start flowing and plugging together.
That's right.
If Mother Nature stays out of the picture.
You got that shit right.
Well, Gina, I'm about to come see you in Nashville. I've never been to Nashville. So maybe I can make a couple of days worth of it, go up and enjoy the sights and sounds of the Music City, and then go enjoy a race or two at the fairgrounds one Saturday night. That'd be kind of fun.
You would love it. I'm excited to. I hope I can get some Texas fans over there to it. I haven't been there in about 20 years, I think 15 to 20 years. Last time that me and my brother Michael went there, and it's still just as beautiful as ever. It's a very nice facility. I'm excited to watch the racing there.
Gina, kind of talk about that. And again, thank you for joining us here, but I'm kind of going totally off script here, but kind of talk about the thoughts there in Nashville. I compare Nashville very much to Austin. I mean, just kind of the way the cities operate. They have the same allure, with music and now sports. Hell, now soccer's a big deal over there, and that's kind of played into a little bit right there. Just kind of talk about the short track scene there. I think it's very different. There's curfews. There's all of this to where you had Nashville, and everything is kind of built around the track. And I think they've done a hell of a job to keep the doors open, because we've seen it here where the infrastructure finds a racetrack, boom, then it's gone. They've done a really good job keeping that old lady up and going.
They have. It's really interesting, Rodney. It is just like you said, you have the track there and everything developed around it. I mean, and literally there are condos right up against it. You have the soccer stadium, of course, on the property as well. But it's really ideal, in my opinion, because the city, they have everything else there. Why not a racetrack? And the facility is excellent. It's beautiful. It's in great shape. It needs a little bit of updating, but not a whole lot. And it's just about, in my opinion, I feel like it's about getting the city excited about it.
Yep.
I think the soccer stadium right next to it, I think that is actually good for it, because you can kind of work together and draw in different crowds that wouldn't normally come to it. Mm-hmm. The dynamics of it are hard. The challenges, and you've got a neighborhood right there.
Yeah.
And it's loud. They have to have mufflers. So you have a lot of different dynamics working. It requires a lot of people to look out for racing and a lot of people to work together to make it, work. Mm-hmm. So that's the struggle, is the dynamics of getting multiple groups of people working, together. Mm-hmm. That's the hard part, because not everybody loves racing. I don't understand why. Unfortunately, not everybody loves it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can you imagine?
I don't get it. It's one of those things. It's like people just don't understand. I mean, I get that all the time, and it's like, what's the what's the allure? You know, this week, for example, Gina, with NASCAR coming to Austin, you know, a lot of people are fired up about it or whatever. And I'm like, you know, it's a big deal, but you know, it's, you know, we do this all the time, you know, and, you know, they just don't understand, but it's like anything. I mean, it's like football, baseball, basketball, you know, everybody's going ape shit over March Madness. You know, we just happen to do that all year. We just happen to do that all
Right.
year.
You know what it is? It is something different that a family can go do.
Mhm.
It is, and it that's what it is. It's an experience. And coming to a race, if you come as a family to a race, you're going to come back to it. You're going to come back and watch it because it is fun. It's different, it's unique, and you don't have to be a race fan to go watch it. But I think that in general, you go to a racetrack, you'll leave a race fan and you'll come back.
Exactly.
We've always said cars sell themselves. I mean, you know, once you get that dirt in your face or the tires in your face and all of that good stuff, get it in your beer. They're loud, they're loud, they're crazy and fun, and they tend to sell themselves. Whether you're 18 or 80, blind, crippled, or crazy, they sell themselves.
That is correct. I agree with that 100%.
You know, Gina,
And it helps to have good food too.
oh yeah. And in Mary Ann's case, clean bathrooms. That's where I was actually going with that.
Yes.
You know, we had her on here, and I think you can relate to this. I mean, because you know, with your track operations that you've done, when you get like a World of Outlaws show right there, I mean, I know that's a lot of work and everything that goes into that, and a lot of, I mean, a lot that goes into that. But man, that's really a good time to get people in there and get them back. You know, because they'll come out and see that, and they'll be like, "When's the next race? They race here again?" So I think those events like that are really cool for short tracks.
Oh, definitely, definitely. They again, that's a big show. Come see the big show, and that's an excellent one too. And you can kind of educate them a little bit more, sprinkle in your local guys, give them an extra opportunity, and it's even better.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know though. Those are hardcore fans though, because I noticed that as soon as that outlaw race was over both nights, half that grandstand shagged ass on out of the parking lot and was leaving. So I don't know. I don't know if it's just that they're. I won't call the outlaw fans snobs of only outlaw racing, but I mean those grandstands. You know, there was some really good racing with the factory stocks on Friday night and the and the sport mods here on Saturday. So some of those fans left early. Like as soon as it's over, you got one more really good race for local stuff, but. I was surprised at how many of the outlaw fans actually left as soon as it was over.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, they probably had to get home early, maybe beating the crowd.
Trying to beat the weather, getting out of there. Lastly, Gina, you mentioned it. Heading to Pensacola, you got the East Pensacola ARCA 150. Then you got the Pensacola 200 for the ASA Stars Tour. And then Crown Vics and all that. You mentioned Bubba's going to try to do the triple. It's a pretty big undertaking right there for the Bryant family at Pensacola, man. That is one hell of a way to get fired up and rolling.
Definitely. What a spectacular opening weekend. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there it is, Mary Ann checking in. They're trying to beat the traffic and the weather is what they were doing, trying to get out of there. Really good stuff, Gina. Thank you for filling us in on all the happenings over at South Alabama. It looked like a great time, and enjoy the weekend. I know it's going to be a lot of work for you, but it'll pay off at the end for you.
Yes, sir. I'll be in touch with you. See you soon.
Yep.
Thanks, Bobby.
You bet. We'll
See
talk
you,
to you.
Gina.
You bet.
All right, guys. Take care.
You got it. There she goes, Gina Shile Knowles, and she really is kind of double dipping there. I mean, with everything she's doing, obviously with Rogers Dabs, and full disclosure, I'm doing that also. So, but the other stuff that she's doing there with stars and so forth, that's a lot. So really cool stuff that she's getting to do. I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, lots of different stuff. She's got her fingers in a lot of cakes, man. That's a lot of cake to try to eat, but if anybody can make it happen, she can.
Yeah. So before we step away for just a second, because we do want to talk about some other stuff, do want to talk tires coming up a little bit before we dive into the NASCAR stuff. So, man, old Nick Sanchez, or Sanchez, depending on how you say it, man, he's not making a lot of friends right now, is he? It's like
not really.
And And I got to tell you, I've got a clip that we can pull up here in just a second. And I got to well, let's pull up the clip. Okay, so this was after the race the other night, and it's friend of ours, Stuart Friesen. Obviously not happy with him. This was post race at Bristol.
If I wasn't outside, we don't have to roll. Right? You roll out of the when you're right here at somebody coming up. I'm coming hard. I'm hard. That's all you have to do. Wait. It was outside. You could have waited 1 point. No, I was outside. No wonder. Hey, come on. Go. Come on, go. Come on.
Here's my thought with that, and I'll play it again. I mean, I didn't hear anything. Again, a lot of that's bleeped out and it's muffled. I didn't hear him disrespect Friesen at all. I mean, I saw what happened on the racetrack. Looked like a racing thing. Did you see that? Did you see what happened on the track?
I just heard about that and watched that video. That's all I've seen. I didn't get to see the actual crash. I've heard various opinions on it on social media since it happened, but I mean, he's just got that smile that you just want to punch his face. That's why he didn't even go. Stuart Friesen didn't even try to attack his ass.
No,
until he smiled and said, "Oh, you want to go, old man?" And then
at the end, when he does that little smile, and that's what I mean. You know what that's going to do to an older dude like that, and I mean that's when you say. It's one of those things. I mean, let's go back and watch it again because you read my mind. Watch at the very end. They sit there, they're discussing. As the camera moves, you look over at Friesen's shoulder. Look at that look. Look at that look on his face.
If I wasn't outside, we don't have to roll. Right? You roll out of the when you're right here at somebody coming up. I'm coming hard. You could have waited 1 point. No, I was outside. No wonder. Hey, come on.
Right there, dude. that right there will drive any veteran crazy. Something like
he's
that.
He's not making a lot of friends there. It's I don't know. That way he rubbed Crafton the wrong way. Now he's rubbing Stuart Friesen the wrong way. There are times when it's a good thing to be a rookie and you rub veterans the wrong way. Cole Trickle showed us how to do that. Jeff Gordon showed us how to do that. Jimmy Johnson showed us how to do that. That's high company. I don't think Nick Sanchez is filling in boots just yet. I'm not even sure he's got it to lace the first shoe so far.
Absolutely, man. It is way too early to be trying to do that shit. And when you're not making friends on the racetrack, it's such a and that's a whole thing where you get. And that was when I saw that, because I saw the incident and I'm like, okay, it kind of looked like a racing thing. But then when I go and I watch that, and it's like you really see what makes the veteran go crazy. And I mean, like I said, I mean, that's going to do that to anybody. So, yeah, there's Nick Sanchez continuing to make more friends in the Craftsman Truck Series. I saw somebody post there talking about Caden Honeycutt. There in the Bristol race, we had a couple of our dudes. Bailey comes home 11th. And then you had Caden Honeycutt that comes home 12th. So you had a couple of good top 15 runs for those dudes. And you know how that is. You put those two on a half mile, dude. They're going to get out there and stand on it. They know what the hell they're doing. That's right up their acumen right there.
Yeah, I think Caden qualified third or fourth, something like that. I had a hell of a qualifying run. All the niche trucks did. They were top of the boards there in practice and had some decent qualifying runs. So it speaks well on the program that Al Neese is still building. Mm-hmm. He's got the Chevy. I'm assuming by now with GMS going to the wayside, I'm assuming that McAnally, well, I guess Spire. I wonder. I'd be interested to know, be a fly on the wall on some of the Chevrolet stuff to see which one of them truck teams gets the most Chevrolet support. Because you got to figure with Kyle Busch running in with Spire, it seemed like Spire's getting all that Chevy support from the old KBM stuff.
Yep.
But KBM was only in Chevys for 1 year. Before they sold out the Spire. So I'd be interested to see how that shakes out. Maybe we'll ask somebody if we see him at COTA.
Yeah, somebody ought to be able to fill us in there. I actually got somebody in mind, as a matter of fact. So, all right, you guys stick around. More coming up. We want to talk tires. I want to talk tires after this. We want to talk, obviously, the NASCAR race tire situation. And then I'm not going to run from it. I want to talk about the dirt thing. I need you guys to explain to me this whole thing because I'm a little confused, and I'm sure when we get done, I'll be even more confused. So you guys stick around. It's Bobby and Rodney. We're doing it right here on Monday. # Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Stick around. Big announcement coming up.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here again with the Revved Up Sports Show. For nearly 3 years now, you've heard me talking about our valued partners over at Generation Race Cars. In 2023, GRC built cars visited Victory Lane on 46 occasions, driven by 9 different drivers. This year, GRC drivers are picking up right where they left off, as young Christian Gaston has already won at Cannondale Speedway. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built to the same high standards we have at GRC. Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. When you're ready to order a new car for 2024, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call at 817-528-2947. That's 817-528-2947. Take your program to victory lane with Team GRC.
Revved Up. We are off and rolling once again on a Monday. Great conversation there with Gina Shile Knowles, talking about everything happening at South Alabama Speedway. A little preview there of Pensacola. Bobby, I tell you, Tim and them, they're biting off a big one there, trying to turn. That sounds kind of bad. That's a big weekend at Pensacola to try to pull all that off.
A very big undertaking is the better way to say it. With those 2 huge races, I think that there's more. I think that there's more pressure on the Stars race than there is in the ARCA race. Not everybody's expecting a lot. I mean, granted, they did the right thing by putting Bubba Pollard in an ARCA car, because now people give a damn about the ARCA race more so now than they did before. So I think that putting him in an ARCA car was a really good idea. I don't know whose idea that was. I don't know if that was Sargent's idea, Tim's idea, or James Fitch's idea. But putting Bubba Pollard in an ARCA car was a really good idea, making that race special on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then you have the Stars deal there on Sunday. That has the ability to be a really good race to Pensacola. The opener for the Stars series when they opened up the inaugural season was a hell of a race there too. So we all know how well the super late models run at Pensacola, especially when you throw a Stars race in it, when you got them coming from all over to try to be numero uno big dog there in Pensacola.
And I think it's a good comp there for Bubba to dive into one of those cars because, when we and I'm pretty excited to see Bubba race in the Xfinity series for a lot of reasons. I mean, I think it's just good for the sport. I mean, it's good for all of us. I mean, it's good for short trackers, dirt, asphalt, whatever. I mean, I think it's a really good thing. But on top of that, I mean, to see him get in there and wheel one of these cars that is a driver's car, well, I guess they were yesterday too. But I mean, this is, you talk to a lot of people, you talk to Cup guys, you talk to anyone within a NASCAR circle, and they tell you that the best car to drive is an Xfinity car. So I think you put him in one of these, and man, this is going to be, and he's going to do the Crown Vic thing too. So he is going to go for the triple. So yeah, I mean, you put your biggest star. You put your biggest star on a big stage right there, Pensacola, and it's bound to be a good weekend for them.
I think so. I mean, like I said, they hit the nail on the head by trying to get him more and more involved, and I think he's now. I mean, we've talked to Bubba plenty of times. You talked to him even off the air a lot, and I think he has embraced this role that he's in right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's pretty happy about it being with Junior Motorsports, trying to run an Xfinity race there at Richmond. But I think that he's accepted his role with being an ambassador for short track racing. We saw a little bit of it spin there when he was the SRX representative there at Pensacola when they kicked off the SRX season a couple of seasons ago. He probably would have won that race had it not been for a flat tire, because he came from 20th back to second behind Ryan Newman or Helio. I can't remember who won that one. Was it Helio who won that one?
I think so. I think
Helio Castroneves won that one. But either way, I think that he has found his place in being an ambassador, not only for the sport, but definitely short trackers all over the place. He's the next Josh Berry to come through. A guy that doesn't have a lot of funding, gets some decent amounts just because he runs well. But I think that's what Junior season Bubba Pollard is probably the next Josh Berry.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very great point. Yeah, I think so too, because Bubba's a guy. I mean, everybody knows his story. He's just one of those dudes where he's a good guy. He's a good guy, and it's really cool to see him get this opportunity. And he will be on Showcase coming up this weekend at Pensacola. All right, here's the news we were going to tell you guys about, and we'll talk about tire stuff here in just a minute. So, obviously, you guys see, we're always kind of rocking the on-demand shirt stuff, and we run the on-demand ads and everything that we do. James Cole and everyone there, great folks over there in San Antonio that have come aboard with us. They help a lot of racers, and they're kind of in the same mold there with Rogers Dab Chevrolet, like what Gina was talking about. They sell stuff, and a lot of times, I mean, I can honestly tell you that both of these companies, what I think is really cool is they sell stuff at under cost. A lot of times, maybe they're giving stuff away.
I'm rocking the shirt. You just can't see because I didn't want the dog in the background too much more than normal. So
just to help racing. But with what they're doing, our partnership with them is just going to continue to grow. And we are really excited to announce that it is live right now. I'm going to pull it up. I hope you're going to be able to see it. This is a screen share right here. Trying to do this this way. It is now a live Revved Up Sports Show merchandise store. I mean, you can dive on here. I mean, there's different ways to do it. I mean, this is the Revved Up Sports Show page right here. And I'm going to try to navigate this looking at this, and this is really weird to do. But all you have to do, you can go to revvedupsportshow.com, and you click over on the right side where it says Revved/DA merch. And when you click on that right there, it's going to pull everything up, and there it is. And you get that. Oh, man, let's see if I can get this done here. Man, I hate screen share. Don't know if that's going to pull that up for me. Maybe it's not. But anyway, you go up to the top of the screen and click that where it says merch, and that's what's going to put you to the hoodies, to the caps, to everything. Try it one more time because I really want this to work. So boom, here it is. There it is. And what you're going to do is you go there and you can order any of this stuff, and you're ordering it from on-demand shirts. It's not Bobby or I that are trying to get shit to the UPS or any of that stuff. It is a genuine merchandise store, and I think this is really cool for folks because a lot of people have asked about some of this stuff.
Yeah, they have, and I had a really good conversation with James Cole myself there on Saturday. So there'll be more merch to be forthcoming as we get more artwork over there to them. So there'll be some special edition shirts and different things coming through that way. But yeah, they knocked it out of the park for us with everything they do for us and still continue to do. So great folks over there. Had some good conversations with a couple of people. They were over there that were selling some of the Cotton Bowl shirts and mentioned some of the Houston shirts, how good those were looking and stuff like that. So Definitely got some really good merch over there, and more to come. Obviously, this is just the beginning of our stuff. Like I said, we've got limited artwork that we started with, so now we've got to try to find ways to make it work to other stuff. So
yeah. So if you're looking for some of this, I'll get that off of there. I know that's a little hard to see. RevvedUpSportsShow.com, up at the very top, just look for the word merch. You can click on that. We'll actually get that over to the Facebook page and probably embed it somewhere to where you can go there and get those. And again, if you run into us at a racetrack or whatever, we may have some of this stuff with us. But this is your surefire way to get it. Get it at your doorstep. You're going to get it quick. And those hoodies are pretty swift. I like that. I like those a lot, man. It's going to look really good.
Yeah, I think the ones that I'm ordering are going to be pretty slick too once it finally gets all said and done. When my people from London get back to me with the updated version of my logo, then we'll see how that shakes out.
Should be a good time. Thank you to On Demand Shirts. Again, RevvedUpSportsShow.com, up at the very top of the page, and you'll find all of that right there, and just continue to look at it as it cycles around and what comes and goes right there. So, again, a huge thanks to On Demand Shirts for partnering up with us, doing some really cool stuff, and they partner up with a lot of series and a lot of drivers around here doing great stuff for them as well. All right, Bobby, let's go. I want to talk about this dirt tire situation. So I've gone in. I mean, obviously the biggest news of this is Bobby Pierce is suspended and the money lost and all of this coming from tire samples that were taken at Volusia, and him and two other guys. I mean, it's not just him, but this is probably who is going to be your champion, right? I mean, this is
he was a preseason favorite. Yes.
Yeah. This is like when Chase Elliott gets thrown out. This is kind of the equivalent to that. So I am so confused on how all of this happens. I mean, I've heard that they pull the most samples from him, which they should, because he is the baddest ass in that series. But I keep going back to where it's like, okay, the samples weren't right. I mean, they went to lab after lab after lab, and I'm all confused when people talk about Simple Green and all this. And it's like, these tires weren't doctored up. Well, how the fuck did they not pass? Is my question.
I mean, if they ain't anything on them, they don't fail. If they're a regular tire, they're not going to fail the sniff test. They're not going to fail the lab test. Clearly, there was something on the tires, whether or not they wanted to admit it or not, blaming the racetrack chemicals and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not a rocket scientist and figure that out. All I know is that there are people way smarter than me that figured out there was something on those tires, and they let everybody know. And the results are you get tossed out, fined, and thrown out for a while.
Yeah. Devin Moran and Kyle Bronson, same thing. I mean, but it's not to the extent of your top star getting thrown out of this. And it's like, I saw some stuff where it's like the penalty was too severe. Oh, well, maybe. I mean, but what's it supposed to be? You just lose your winnings or I don't know. And this was, so far back. And I guess this was in February when this happened. But when they're sending this shit off to labs, and it wasn't just one, apparently. I mean, when they're doing this like this, I mean, it's pretty apparent to me that something wasn't right. And it's like, well, they test him all the time. And again, this is not a slight at Bobby Pierce. I love that dude. But it's like, when somebody's on trial, when there's all this evidence, it's like, oh, okay, you had to have been doing something wrong, or somebody's out to get you, which I think this probably all started with, all that little somebody alerted somebody about something, and that's when this shit went down.
I mean, it had to be something. I mean, people don't, the best tech inspector is the person parked right next to your ass. Because they are looking at your shit, and they're looking at your shit hard, and they want to make sure that you're not cheating, or they want to make sure that they're not looking over your shoulder to see if your ass is cheating. Mm-hmm. So somehow, some way, it's funny how the what was it when Brandon Smith won that late model championship at San Antonio Speedway that year? Did the big burnout on the last night of the season and won the championship by like 5 points, hit the fence, all of that. They protested the transmission. The transmission was illegal. Same transmission he ran all year. Who decided that transmission all of a sudden was going to be teched when it hadn't been teched all year? Word got out. Somebody protested, and he got disqualified. That kind of that's an unfortunate outcome that you be running the same equipment all year and then it finally gets deemed illegal last night and you lose your championship. I don't know if that's as severe of a case as this, but it's somebody always sees something and the rumors hit, and what do we say on the show sometimes when all the rumors say the same thing, it's probably not a rumor anymore.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way around this. And this was smart in the sense that, I don't know, let's just say for shits and grins that they were out to get Bobby Pierce. Well, they got other people too. So that's the best way that it would be one thing if you just hone into him and it's like, okay, we got him, but they went and got two other guys also. And that gives it more validity to where those samples were also not, whatever. And this, we were talking before the show, Bobby, and you mentioned about Kenny Wallace. I was listening to him, and I'm here to tell you, dirt track, late model, folks, you may need to go the NASCAR route. What Kenny was talking about when you're racing during the day and you're changing all these tires and all that shit. Maybe all that stuff needs to be impounded. Maybe that needs to be in one spot because they have way too much rain. And it's like the one thing I heard here with the Bobby Pierce thing. It's like, well, they tested him 6 times. How could it only be the one tire? Well, it just takes one. It just takes one sample. And I think that maybe this series kind of outgrowing its britches a little bit. And it's going to have to go NASCAR big time is the only way to prevent this shit from happening.
How they impound tires on a weekly show on some racetracks.
I know. Yeah. And that's, it's just all the back and forth and where it's one of those things to where that's what I keep going back to. Well, there's no way. Well, there's no way. Well, there's no way. Well, how the fuck did it not? How did the sample come back that way is my question. And again, it's not, this would be a whole different story if it were, I don't know, pick somebody else. Pick somebody else.
If it's not one of the biggest names in dirt late model racing, it's not as big of a story.
Exactly. And nobody would give a shit. And there wouldn't be everybody, making the case with, there's no way. There's absolutely no way.
It's the fans that are the ones who are like, there's no way it's cheating. There's no way.
Yeah.
Which they should be, right? I mean, when you're a fan of somebody, you see no wrong in anything that they do. So that's one thing. That's why those guys, Bronson and a couple, and especially Bobby Pierce, were really excited when Hudson O'Neal decided he was going to leave the Rocket House car.
Yeah, how'd that work out? And that's the whole thing right there to where this stuff happens, and it's like, don't let them do anything. Don't let them do anything. I mean, we've heard of tire. I mean, hell, who hasn't done it? I mean, we've heard of tire doping. I'm sure it happens in asphalt. And that's why I was asking Gina, because I was curious when it came to like Ricky Brooks, because with stuff happening like that's where Ricky is like, where that stuff will trigger stuff. But I mean, I just don't look. I hate that it happened. But I just don't understand how they didn't do it. How they didn't do it. And, if people want to blow us up and be pissed off and explain it to us, that's great. I mean, I just don't understand the whole process. I just know that you can't enhance tires is what I know. I mean, I know you can sit there and scrape them and do all this other shit. But, I mean, you can't doctor them up in any way at all.
And that's generally with every series on any surface.
That's anyone.
Except for NHRA's got busted people for messing with the tires before.
Absolutely. And it's like fuel. You can't do shit to the fuel. Remember Michael Waltrip at Daytona? You can't do that shit. And when you do, the hammer drops. And yes, it sucks for whoever it is, but it was one of those things to where I kept hearing it had to be a random thing. No, it wasn't random. No, it wasn't random.
No, it was not.
Yeah. By the way, there's the QR code to get you to the merchandise thing. It's just easier that way. That takes you right to it. So, I mean, you guys can help explain this to me because I just don't get how, and again, it's a valid argument. I mean, you don't want to see your guy get caught, but when it's like, I mean, it's pretty hard to refute this, right? I mean, I think they can. I even heard, I was listening to a guy that was talking about to where, possibly you could sue the World of Outlaws. I'm like,
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like if you get caught with your shorts down with somebody that's not your significant other, there's only so many ways you can plead the innocence on that deal. At some point, there is some intent involved in that scenario. So it's whether you want to admit the intent or not, it's not the sanctioning body's idea or their place to judge intent. Their place is to judge yes and or no. Either yes, it had shit on it, or no, it didn't have any tire dope shit on it.
Yeah.
That's the sanctioning body's thing. That's the only place that they can be. They can't ledge intent on anything like that.
Yeah. And I mean, asphalt pull-offs, half of them are dope too. Yeah, when you dude, tell me, yes, I see it. I know. I know this. I know this. But this is where, you as a racer, I mean, it's always one of those things to where if there's something on your car or you're doing something that at some point there's going to be something random on a random, may not have to be the biggest show of the year, but something's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna get alerted. Somebody's gonna get cued off, like you were just talking about, BC, and they're gonna catch you. They're gonna catch you at some point. And that looks like what happened. And I heard, where folks were talking about maybe it was the series. The series had an agenda. I mean, seriously, do you think the series wants to get rid of your most popular, your champion, the dude that helps the front gate the most? Do you really think that they just want to randomly get him out of the fucking show? That makes no sense. Don't give me that. Come on, man.
They're not picking on the meal ticket.
No, absolutely not. I mean, what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out a way to even this out, because it happens. Like Buck was saying right there, happens in asphalt, happens everywhere. And I just, I don't know. It's going to be curious to see if this causes any, a domino effect. If folks back away from the series. I think now that there's more competition, does this drive drivers away to another series, or what's going to happen? Is there going to be an appeal? I mean, I don't know. It's funny to watch sometimes.
I mean, they ain't but like two places to go. You got your World Outlaw late models, and you got your Lucas Oil late models. That's about if you're a big time player, that's about the only two places you can go.
No doubt. And I totally get the part where it's like folks are up in arms because when something like that happens, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a black eye on you. I mean, it's a black eye. And here's the other part of this. Kind of back to the series had an agenda. It's a black eye on the series right now. Yes, the drivers involved. Yes, absolutely, and their teams and the financial part. I totally get that. But what does the series look like right now? That's where folks are always in the corner of the driver, and I get that. And of the teams, because they are the performers. They're the stars. They're the ones that people come to see, that they go through the turnstiles to see these guys. But the series right now is like, holy shit, this is pretty massive in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it's, now you got to take competitors. Well, how long was he running at before he got busted? How come this is why he's always setting fast times, smoking heat races, winning races. I mean, it opens up a whole big can of worms that the series didn't want to deal with. Bobby Pierce doesn't want to deal with, that nobody wants to deal with, but it does make for great armchair promoting. That's for damn sure. And
this is where I talk about, the big asphalt races, to where it's like, you've got 3 to 4 days of practice and it's nonstop. And, they're slinging Hoosiers everywhere, or American racers or whatever. And it's like, yeah, man, I mean, this is happening. Mm-hmm. This is happening. It's just one of those things to where it's like, it just happened to be the time where the series decided that they were going to run those tests and rerun. That's the other part of it, that where I go back to the validity of it. And I don't think that the validity should be questioned, because this is not me and you going out with a microscope and a fucking feeler gauge and sitting over here and something that's going to tell us what's in there. Like you said, these are really smart people. These are like chemists and scientists doing this. This isn't you and me in the garage drinking a couple of cold beers trying to figure out a tire compound.
Yeah, no. This is certified labs that their job is to test tires. And it's not cheap to get these tires tested. You see it done on the asphalt side too. They do it at some of the bigger races. They did it at the New Year's shootout there at in South Carolina at Ron Barfield's place. To where that New Year's bash, they tested the tires there, had a baseline tire and had the two other tires and deemed it to be legal. So it works both ways.
Sure does. It's like when you go to the doctor and they draw blood. I mean, they don't just draw blood, keep it in the vial, and just run it through the microfiche and try to figure out if there's anything wrong with you. They send that shit off to the lab, and that's exactly what happened right here. I mean, it's a very streamlined process, and I mean, I hate it for the teams, but I mean, I just don't know how you can dispute it. I mean, it's like no, there wasn't anything there. Yes, there was. I mean, that wasn't cow shit on there. That was something else. It's something that you can't do.
Yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. It's either there or it's not.
Yeah. We go from that, and then you go to Sunday, where you go to that mess over there happening with the resin on the racetrack. And I say mess, dude. I love that. I thought that was great, man. For all the folks, I think, isn't it weird that it seems like maybe NASCAR and people want to beat up Goodyear on this deal, like people are wanting to beat up Hoosier. I heard some people saying on the dirt thing where it's like, well, Hoosier's been having a hard time getting tires. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? They don't come treated.
Yeah.
But
you can't special order a set of Hoosiers with your, or American racers with tire dope on them. Yeah, let me have that with a side of tire dope, please.
Yeah,
make that 2 sets.
Yeah, I need a side of dope. Well, I shouldn't say that loud, but yeah, I need a side of tire dope on those, please, when they arrive. Come on, man, give me a break. But that yesterday, same compound that they've been running over there, that they ran resin. I seriously loved it. I thought that maybe it happened by mistake, that somehow you figured out how to have a good short track race with the next gen car.
54 changes, most in 76 years, broke another NASCAR record. 54 lead changes in 76 years. That's pretty damn impressive. Whether or not it was tires or not, that was the race of the year last night.
It really was, man. And it's, I've said that I think that this is very much a driver's car, and I think that's why a lot of these guys don't like it, because or have had trouble adjusting to it, because they're used to these other versions of these cars that they have had, to where you're kind of out there Cadillacing around. I mean, this one you gotta strong arm it and wheel it around and do all these different things. Then you add that right there where you're chewing tires up yesterday, and you got to pace yourself. And it was like coming up on lap traffic and all this. I heard Denny Hamlin talking about it. I was just hoping that as I'm lapping Christopher Bell or whoever it is, I hope he doesn't have a blowout and spin out right in front of me. And I mean,
that happened.
That's right. That's the old school racing that you want right there, right? I mean, you want it like back in the day. That's exactly what that was.
Yeah, 5 cars on the lead lap. That's exactly how it was back in the day. But it didn't feel like 5 cars on the lead lap. I mean, those guys were that last 25 laps was insane, because those guys were dropping like flies and having to just slow down because they didn't have another set of tires. That was it.
Yeah. And that's when you knew that it was going to be severe, because when I saw the Goodyear dude, sitting over there talking to the media over in the media center in the middle of the race, I'm like, holy shit, this is a pretty big deal right here. If this dude's rolling out,
if they roll out for damage control with Greg Stucker in the middle of a race, that's damage control right there.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't think I've kind of heard a lot of the back and forth. I mean, I don't think that the blame is to be placed on Goodyear. I mean, hell, if anything, you applaud Goodyear, because I really think that, I mean, they brought the same tire, but it really was. I heard a great explanation. I think it was Larry McReynolds that was talking about the difference between the PJ1 and the resin, to where the resin, a completely different response. And that was the problem. The track didn't rubber up. And it was kind of cool to not have the track rubbered up.
Yeah, I think Chris Gabehart, Denny Hamlin's crew chief, said, "Don't blame Goodyear. Don't blame them for this. If it's my job as a crew chief to make sure that my car performs the best based upon the standards that I got."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, and so he said, if it blows out, that's my fault. And that's not Goodyear's fault. That's my fault for the tire blowing out, not Goodyear's.
Yeah. And I really think that it did, where it put a lot of that emphasis back on the driver, because it is. I mean, we always talk about the guys that plug and play and just get in there and take off. You had to get in there. And you had to you had to be smart. I mean, it wasn't just about driving the car, and it wasn't the spotter. That was the other part of it. I mean, obviously the spotter is going to do what the spotter is going to do, but I mean, you're the one that's feeling stuff. You're the one that knows what that car is doing. And I think that's the cool part about it, where it put it back in the driver's hands once again.
Yeah, no, it did. That's what made that race fun.
Yeah. Yep. Replying to Buck Borlas, other half get doped when they get to the shop. Well, I think that's the point that we're trying to make with this whole scenario, is that you can say, no, I don't know how. I don't know who did it. Well, somebody did. Somebody did it.
Some rules are made to be broken and some rules aren't. Don't mess with the fuel. Don't mess with the engine. Don't mess with the tires.
Yeah. Years ago, I worked at a job, and a couple of the employees there got into a fight. A couple of dudes working out in the yard. One of them comes walking up to me. He's got a busted nose. He's bleeding everywhere. And I'm like, what happened, man? And he's like, oh, man, guy sucker punched me from behind. I'm like, sucker punched you from behind? Did he reach around and go like that? Or how'd you get sucker punched from behind? It just didn't make sense. And that's where this doesn't make sense to me. So we'll see. Hopefully it all gets worked out. Big weekend coming up, my man. Looks like all kinds of stuff happening, and you can catch a lot of it on Race On.
A lot of it on Race On. A lot of it's local stuff here. Truex is going to be at the Cabela's in Buda.
Oh, nice.
But apparently you have to have a wristband well in advance. I think it's going to be maxed out to 200-300 people. I don't know how you get your wristband. I saw that before we came on the show, and I hadn't had a chance to research it anymore. Are you going to the race ranch, right? Or are you going to come to Dakota?
I'm not sure what the plan is yet at this point. Probably both. Somehow we'll get it all figured out. I tell you, I'm still butthurt from the Rattler. I don't want to miss anything. So I don't exactly know what all is going on with COTA, to be honest with you. COTA's, I mean, it's cool to be there, but it's a bit much. It's a bit much. And then you get in there, and then you're kind of landlocked in there. You know what I mean? You know how it is. You get in there, okay, whatever. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Friday, Race Fever Sprints, Heart of Texas Speedway. Sabine will be off and rolling. The Stand On It Classic at Arrowhead Speedway. Texarkana is off and going. All of that on Friday, man. That's just one day or one night.
One night, yeah.
Yep.
That Arrowhead Speedway is a hell of a facility. Did you see the lights? They got those badass LED lights that they can make flash around like Martinsville did when Martinsville put in them LED lights.
That's pretty cool right there. Saturday, I-37 Redneck Stress Relief happening out there as well. Super B Speedway. You got the Stand On It Classic still there at Arrowhead Speedway. And, of course, as you talked about, South Texas Race Ranch, the Easter Egg Extravaganza will be happening. USRA Modifieds over at Boot Hill, and then the IMCA Sprint Cars at 105 Speedway. So all of that coming up. If you can't get to one of those tracks, try to get yourself out to one of them. But if you can't, all of that action right there in your Race On subscription if you want to be a part of all that cool stuff.
Not a better way to watch it than on Race On, other than being there live and in person.
That's right. Once again, there is your QR code. You can scan on that. We'll have it up on the Facebook pages here probably in just a little bit. That'll take you right to the Revved Up merchandise show, courtesy of our great friends at On Demand Shirts, continuing to do really cool stuff for us. We're so excited, like we said, about continuing that partnership, and I think it's going to be some really cool stuff and more cool stuff to come. So just keep your eyes open to that. Just keep checking back periodically to see what's going on.
Yep, that's right. Always check out for new merch. You never know what's going to drop on there.
Rest of the week, my man. What's it looking like for you, man? I don't know what weather's doing. I mean, weather. It's seriously the Cotton Bowl dodged the bullet.
They did.
That was.
Let's see here. I've only got a 4-day work week because I'm going to COTA. Week after that's another 4-day work week because we're off for Good Friday for Easter before I go to Texana. And then we get Monday off the week after that, so I get 3 4-day weeks in a row. So doing a little bit of racing. It's going to be kind of nice. I've been Cadillacing it there for a little bit.
Nice. Be a good time. It'll be a good time. All right, friends. Thank you all for being a part of the program tonight. Again, that tire thing, we can talk about that all you want. because I'm still just trying to make heads or tails of it. We may get some folks on here to explain it to us and just kind of give different thoughts. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why we do this stuff. Check out the merchandise stuff. Check out all the replays. They're all available at revvedupsportshow.tv, revvedupsportshow.com, and, of course, on all of the Facebook pages. Bobby, have a great rest of the week, my man. Don't go over there and harass Martin Truex. Don't get in trouble trying to get in there, my man.
Yeah, I know. Don't tell Wags, because Wags will miss Chaos Theory to head over there.
Oh, shit, that's right. Yeah, that's his guy. Actually, we're doing something at Coda in the morning. I've got to be at Coda in the morning, so not exactly sure what else is going on with any of that. It's kind of that's where this year it's kind of different, where it's like, I don't know, I don't know really what's going on, and it's a weird feeling, but whatever. It's always cool to have them in town. It's always cool to have NASCAR in town.
Yeah, it looks like weather's good for this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's supposed to be really good. All right, you guys, check out the archives and continue to like, subscribe, and message. We'd love to hear from you guys. Bobby's down south. I am up north. We will do it again, same time, same channel, right here next Monday. It is #Real Race Talk, the Revved Up Sports Show. Y'all have a great rest of the week.